There you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on Animal House Radio via American Forces Network. And boy, this is probably the greatest show I've ever had the pleasure to do. Been doing this show for 5 years and never have I had goosebumps like this before. Not only am I joined by my quintessential wingman, Lieutenant General Jerry Martinez, special guest host Jessica Paris. I have three of the most iconic women in the history of music joining us today. You know them as Gina Schock, Charlotte Caffey, and Kathy Valentine, more affectionately known as the Go-Go's.
Get him, Penny. Get him, Penny. We're all in good company.
Yes, and thank you so much for taking time with us today. It means so much to me. Like, I know you're all over the country, and like I said, to put this together is really great. Gina, I'm going to start with you. By the way, I watched the documentary. I think I'm at like 6 times already. Phenomenal documentary. And I really, as a true documentary should, it pulls back the curtain on a lot of stuff. And one of the things that really like scared the hell out of me was when you guys were in England and you had to play to these punk crowds, and a lot of them were skinheads and stuff like that. And you were like, I mean, what was that like?
It was very challenging, but we, at first we kind of think we're kind of tough and can handle everything. And like, it was shocking because they really were not the least bit interested in us. They thought we were like cream puffs from Southern California. And they, I don't know, whatever. They just weren't ready to see 5 girls up there doing their thing. They didn't appreciate it. And they, that movement was kind of scary because it was violent, and they would throw things and spit on us, and, we'd come off stage crying. And then after a little while, you know what? We go out there and we're like, F this, man. We're gonna knock their asses out. We're gonna show them what we can do. We're not afraid anymore. Because, after a while, you just like, fine, that's the way you want to play. We'll toughen up real quick. And we got a better attitude about doing things. It didn't take long, so we were ready for them then.
You know what? I'm sorry. Play louder and harder, because I was like, that's how it was so. I got kind of used to it. Okay, I know what's going to happen tonight. We're going to get things thrown at us, but that's okay. We can handle it. And Gina's right. We toughened up. It was great. It really was in hindsight, it was a good experience because it really.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm glad that we have that to look. I mean, it made us better at what we do. Like, if you can get through that, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, if you didn't like fold up shop and you went the other way, you said, we're not going to take this shit.
Nah, yeah, it was good experience, actually.
Now, Charlotte, you are an amazing songwriter. I don't know where you got it from. It came from a place that's so special with all songwriters. One of the things I noticed in the interview was the documentary is that you said by the third album you ran out of gas, writing wise. Is that put a lot of strain on you, knowing that, hey, all this stuff came pouring out of me previously, and now all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank?
Well, it really was due to my drug addiction and my drinking and all the stuff that was that I was engaging, and that's what it doesn't. That old story of like, I need my drink so I can write. Well, that was not the case. It's like I didn't really understand and connect it at that moment. But it was apparent to me later, and it was I wanted to. I wasn't my full on participation that I would normally do, but for.
Oh shit! Did we just?
Yeah, she might have dropped off.
Well, you know what? The thing is that basically, and Kathy, I'm going to let you talk, but we were growing up in public, okay? And everything that we went through, I mean, we were on stage, we were very visible. And so, and we were kids, we were learning as we went. We didn't come equipped to handle everything. We had to learn how to deal with it.
Sorry about that. I don't know what, it just kicked me off.
You're out a lot, Charlotte. Your signal seems pretty weak.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's cell phones are very glitchy because this is military grade encryption. If you want, that'd be great.
I'm using my computer.
Well, should I go on my?
It's always better.
I have.
If
I,
you
I'm gonna
want,
be
yes,
on
that'd be
right
great. If it's not too much of an imposition, that'd be great.
here. I'll give it a try. Right. Let's see. I don't know how to go.
All right, so Caffey, you got a new book out. It's called All I Ever Wanted,
Okay.
and I picked up my copy. I beat a guy to the punch for it from Barnes and Noble, and I highly recommend everybody picking it up. I don't even have to read it yet. I know it's going to be great. And what the amazing thing about this, Caffey, is that you not only did the book, now you created a soundtrack for the book.
I did. Yeah. I think I was very interested in the idea of combining storytelling with song and music and prose. And it was, I have to say, it was probably the most creative, fun musical thing I've ever done. There was no rules, I could do whatever I wanted. And I love being in a band. I love being a band member, but it's also fun to stretch out beyond that, and I don't think you ever really know what your capabilities are until you kind of push yourself into doing something new and different.
Floor in the living room. Is this better?
Much better. Look at that, huh?
We don't have to do this anymore.
But it's
I'm just okay. Wait, now there's no you guys.
but
Yikes.
what
Oh, let me see if this helps. Yeah, there it is. Can you?
Yeah, we got
Can
you
you hear me?
perfectly. Yes.
Okay.
So,
All right, I'm here.
Caffey,
Anyway.
I love the fact that you are the quintessential musician, because in the documentary I saw that like they approached you, said, "Hey, can you play bass?" And you, without even skipping a beat, yeah, I could play bass. If they asked you to play the tuba, you would have said yes, because when you're hungry and you want to work and you're a starving artist, you'll say yes to anything. And I love that. That's like your style. You're like, yes, I could play it. And then you had to, you had to go on like a 3-day just to learn the songs, right?
Yeah, Bender. The key thing was, though, at the time it was like I was kind of in a free fall. I'd moved to LA to make it in the music business, like so many do, just like Gina did from Baltimore. And I was in a little bit of a free fall. And at first I thought this will be a lark, the Virgos are popular, it'll be fun, something to do. I knew I was capable. What I didn't know what would happen was that I would fall in love with the band. And as soon as I started listening to that cassette and learning the songs, getting in a rehearsal, that feeling, that chemistry, it was like I had found my family. It really felt like this is what I started playing for. It was to find this.
Wow. Jerry, I want to bring in Lieutenant General Jerry Martinez, who's my guest host today. Jerry, take it away. I know you have some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Carlo. And hey, it's great to meet all of you and talk with you. Thanks so much for taking time to be with us today.
Sure.
Yeah, so hey, I like many people, you meet a huge fan. I watched your documentary, I think 4 times now, and no joke. And every time I just see and hear something different. And one of the things I have to congratulate all of you on is, everybody, we've all watched documentaries over our lifetime. This has got to be the most brutally honest documentary I've ever seen. And I think that's why people like it so much, is that you guys just held nothing back, not only from the personal struggles, but also the overcoming those struggles, and the triumphs that all of you have had, and the toughness of starting in the business, and then how you plowed through that. So congratulations on that. It was really, really a good documentary. And there were some things out of it that I took that were, some were funny and some were like, wow, I didn't know. And one of my favorites was when Gina was going through her medical condition, and you guys decided to go, for a last hurrah in Palm Springs, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
And it really cracked me up that you guys said, hey, we're really worried about her, so we're going to limit you to booze, Valium, and mushrooms only, for the weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And they meant it with love. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That was coming from the heart. That was all love. But
Yes.
like I said before, we're kids. We were growing up, and it just was like it was a sign of the times. That how things in the 80s were a little bit out of control, and a little excessive. Okay, in some ways. And when looking back in this, when I seeing the documentary several times over, the more that I see it, the more comfortable I am with it, because it's like it's who we were. It's growing up, It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You learn your lessons from all this stuff. These are lessons learned, and we're still here to talk about it. And that's the great news. You know,
Absolutely.
all these
Before we-
things in life, and you chalk them up as lessons, and you make it through like we have. This band is so precious to me. I know to all of us, and we were fine to talk about that.
Yeah, you did
All the
great. And,
aspects of it, you know,
I told Carlo before you guys even punched on, one of the things that was really impressive is that what you're saying, Gina, is that you guys had to grow up in front of millions of people, which most of us don't do that. And, when you start out and you're an artist and you're just really good at your craft, well, that's great. But then, at your age that you started, I put myself in those boots, and I'm like, you had to all of a sudden learn business, not just playing your instrument, but how does this become a business and a company and putting all of those things together. And so I can only imagine the amount of stress that was on all of you, to be in the spotlight and have to grow up and have to figure out how to turn this thing into a global phenomenon. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, we learned bits and pieces along the way, business-wise, and it was fortunately we were surrounded, like our manager Ginger. She really dove into aspects of the business, and it was a good thing for us. But also, we were just working our asses off every day with playing, traveling, doing interviews and all the stuff you do when you're in a band. And so it was lucky we did manage to have someone looking out for us on that level. Yeah.
Ginger, just say one more thing. Ginger was not like a tried and true manager. She was a friend, and she hung out on the scene. So Ginger was learning as we were, but
Yes.
she definitely was focused on the business end of it. And she loved our music, and she loved all the five of us. So it was everything was very organic and true. That's what and you can never take it away. It comes from a very true place.
Right. Charlotte, I mean, you suffered adversity, addiction, and you came out of it. And thank God, because we need more musicians like you. And
36 years sober.
Yes, thank you. God bless. I wanted to ask, I mean, I know you've accepted it and it's a part of your past. And I mean, when we spoke to Belinda, she said at first everyone was a little skittish about the documentary. But then you're like, okay. And the documentary pulls back the curtain. And, a lot of people know the band's history, the fans. But I mean, now everybody's going to know. Were you a little hesitant to let them know, hey, this is what I went through? And
no, not at all. Because I honestly, talking about it, and I learned early on in my sobriety, don't talk about it. Just, it's like they don't, talk about it in a way that's like, oh, everything's good now. I mean, I didn't even speak about it till I was 16 years sober. And then, but then I just figured, even if one person's watching this documentary and it helps them, that's the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. And I am a big proponent for being open about this. And when people ask me, I'm just an open book. Yeah. It's just part of my experience in life.
Absolutely. Jessica, I want to
sober too, by the way. Caffey's been sober a really long time as well.
Well, God bless Caffey. You girls, you broke so many barriers, and I'm gonna turn over a couple of questions to my guest host, Jessica Paris. Jessica, take it away.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really looking forward to bragging in front of my friends and rubbing it in their faces that I got to interview you guys. I'm just like so excited. So one of the things that I really enjoy about you guys are as individuals, even after the Go-Go's, you were still all so very creative. So I actually have questions for all three of you, but very kind of weird questions. So Charlotte, I'm going to start with you. So you've worked with Meredith Brooks. You played on the piano version for Foolish Games for Jewel. You have co-writing credits with Keith Urban for But for the Grace of God. So you've done some amazing things. But what I thought was really interesting is that you wrote a book, music and lyrics for Lovelace, a rock musical. with Anna Warrenker. How was the writing different for when you write for a band and a solo artist versus a full musical?
Well, what you're doing with the full musical, you're writing songs that push the story forward. And when we're writing songs, all of us write songs in the band. We're writing, that moment of creativity. Here's what I feel, and this is, it's like a separate songs, but it's a body of music for a musical that tells the story.
Was it a lot more difficult to do that and to kind of like keep it coherent without, again, just versus like writing one song or two songs for?
Well, it was my first and Anna, she's my sister-in-law. We learned together. It was an amazing experience, and we ended up writing another musical more recently about the first night of the Stonewall riots, and it was called Hit the Wall, and it played in LA, and it's a medium that I love, and I would want to do it again. It's just right now people are kind of separated, so it's a little hard. But thanks for asking.
Carlo, I don't think you want me to ask them all at once, do you, or do you?
No. We're gonna spread it around. Gina, I love your style because you remind me of like if there was back in the day. If there was a bar fight, you would probably been involved and you would have kicked the most ass. I would have been standing behind you back in the day. And I love that about you. And I mean this with the highest compliments and regards. You are an absolute beast on the drums.
Thank you. Like people used to say a lot of times, and Caffey and I had this thing when like it's weird because we would say, wow, that girl plays like a guy does. Like that actually was the compliment. You know what I mean? Like that you had say that. It was weird back in the 80s, but Little Richard said, man, he said to me when we played with him, he said, you played like a guy. And I was like, thank you. If that's
right.
I get what he's saying. You know what? The way that I approach this, you guys, is when I'm playing drums, I am playing for that song. My drum parts are about elevating that song, making it the best that it can be. I'm not thinking about, I can add this row or I can show off to do this. I never approached it that way. That doesn't work in my brain. It's like, what can I do to make this song better, elevate this song, give it what it needs, That's the way I approach drumming. And I try to keep it simple. I play hard because I play with all of my emotional, being, my feeling, and that's how I've always approached it. I never took lessons, and I just taught myself how to play, and this is the end result.
I love the when you were during the documentary when they were writing the lyrics to "We Got the Beat," and you just like out of nowhere came up with the beginning drum beat.
Well, it was Charlotte had that that eighth note riff, right? And all I kept thinking is like, okay, what can I do? Once again, to elevate that, to make it better, to really make it shine. And that beat just came into my head. I don't remember if I tried other things, but I knew when I started playing that was going to be the beat that was going to make this song happen. And it's so cool because it's, like now, like when you hear that, it's like an iconic beat. You hear that and it's We Got the Beat. Like I had no idea it would, reserve that space in history, but it kind of does, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's one of those songs
but it's powerful. Simple and powerful. That's what it's about.
It instantly resonates with everybody. Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks. So, Caffey, you came in a little bit later than than some of the members, and that whole thing was hilarious. Like Carlo was talking about how you coke binged and all of a sudden you were a bass player, and you came in the band. When you first came in the band, did you have any idea that now almost 40, we're not quite 40, but almost, 40 years later, your songs are still playing all over the radio. People know you, they love you. They just are, huge Go-Go's fans. Did you realize that was going to be in your future when you made that big move?
No, I think most musicians dream of success, but to me, it was a very nebulous thing what success meant. All the bands I loved, I aspired to, but they were all men. And one of the things that was a part of my dream was to see more women in that pantheon of great bands. I loved Zeppelin and the Faces and the Beatles and the Stones and the Who. And they were all men. And as soon as I started playing, I'm like, I want women to be there. And that was kind of such a big driving part. I had been playing in bands since I was 16. I had played in bands in Texas and in London, and I moved to LA to make it in the music business. And when I joined the Go-Go's, when after those first shows, and I was asked to stay, I felt like that was success because number one, the band was popular. People were packing the clubs, selling out. Number two, it felt like people that were like-minded, females, what I had looked for, people like me that wanted the same thing. And we were getting paid $40 a week and our rent paid. To me,
Yeah.
have a day job. And literally that was success, not having a day job. And everything that happened from then on was just kind of a piling on, like success got redefined the further every step you took. Because then we have a record deal. Oh, it never gets better than this. Oh, you're doing your record in New York. Oh, it never gets better than this. You know? And then, oh, you're going on tour. Oh my God. Okay, this is the highlight of my life. And it just kept, and the wonderful thing is that it's been going on now for decades. I never would have imagined that we have a Broadway musical, that we'd have a star on Hollywood Boulevard, that we would be getting, so much credit and accolades so long after our initials, even though we've been working a lot over a lot of people don't realize we have never really disappeared for more than 5 years at a time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, I was, when you guys were in your heyday, just really tearing it up out there, I was a cadet there's a school in Colorado Springs called the Air Force Academy, which is like Army's West Point and those type schools. And I was a cadet there, and my girlfriend at the time and a bunch of cadets and all of us, you guys were playing in Colorado, and we drove to go see you. And I was like, I can't believe this. We're going to see the Go-Go's. And this was just like really fired up. And I don't know if you remember, because you've had so many shows in the past, but this massive thunderstorm hit, and there was lightning and wind and all this, and they canceled the show. We're sitting in the crowd, and it was canceled.
Freaking.
Yeah. And so I had never actually got to see you guys, which just really pisses me off.
This is crazy. I played Denver twice, and there was a huge rainstorm both times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we canceled because we have played in thunderstorms that we were afraid to step on the stage. But like our tour manager Art would say, "Come on, get out there, look at them. They're all standing in the rain. Come on, you can do it." We're like, Jesus Christ, we're gonna get electrocuted.
It's just a little electrocution. It's
We
fine.
didn't budge, Gina. We stayed there. We were like, we're riding out the lightning, and even though the promoters there were like telling everybody get out, we're like, no, we're not budging. And it was the right call. The winds were like 50 miles an hour. It was crazy, and it would have been probably dangerous. But so I don't know. That's always a band discussion about how much more do you ever go on the road, or what do you play, but. If you're ever out there somewhere, I'm going to fly and find you, because you're the one band that I have not got to see in person.
We can do that. Yeah, that sounds great. And hopefully we, obviously with the pandemic, we've all had to cancel our tours and do all that stuff. But, let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can do that.
Yeah, really. And then, one of the things you guys, now again, I'm speaking purely as a selfish fan here, so bear with me. Is one of the things that would be awesome, where I think would be fantastic, is, in Las Vegas, where I live, a lot of these large venues, they call residencies, where the groups come in that don't want to tour all the time and do that live. They come in and they stay at the same place for, some guys will stay, Aerosmith's been playing for months and months and months, and the place gets packed every night. Because
we need a Go-Go's residency. We got to start hashtagging that.
I agree, man. I'd be at every show every night.
Did you know one of our favorite gigs was we flew to Turkey and played at the base in I think it's called Incirlik.
Incirlik Air Base in Adana, Turkey. I've been there many times.
That was an awesome gig. That was such a great thing to do.
Yeah.
It's Charlotte. I've been dying to ask this question because I'm a huge fan of his, and it was something that you mentioned during the documentary, and I don't think you quite answered it. But how does one get kicked out of Ozzy Osbourne's dressing room?
Lots of drugs and drinking, and I think Ozzy at the time, I have a feeling he was, maybe sober at the time or something. I'm not sure because Sharon, I just remember being back there, and I was really like out of my mind, and I guess they didn't want that element in their room, so I got kicked out. But it was a good thing. So it kind of pushed me into one of these days I'm going to thank those two. Kind of pushed me because a couple of weeks later I checked myself into rehab. So
Well, that was always a good thing, but I didn't think anybody could out party Ozzy. But I think
yes, I'm the one. I don't know.
Yeah. Jessica, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I do agree with you on that. Like I was surprised that Ozzy was like, "Wait a minute, that's too much." That's shocking. But I do have a question for Caffey. So your roots are in the Austin music scene, pre-Go-Go's and after the Go-Go's, and you have like three albums of the Blue Bonnets, 2 albums of the Delphines. You have the Textones, and you were inducted in 2014 into the Austin Music Hall of Fame, which is really exciting. So congratulations on that. But my question for you is that do you have a particular genre that you really love playing because your bass is pretty wide with your influences, or is it dependent upon if you're playing bass or guitar, or if it's just the people that you're with?
I have a huge range of music that I love. I'm very song oriented. It's like I appreciate a good song, and it can defy genre. I love hip hop. I love, but not all hip hop. I love country, but not all country. It really depends on the song. And one of the things I thought I could bring to the Go-Go's, even though I was new on the instrument of bass, I had such a wide spectrum of music that I was exposed to. Everyone. I mean, I saw everyone from Ray Charles to Iggy Pop, like when I was very, very young in Austin, we had a huge, wonderful, thriving music scene. And it really served me as when I heard the Go-Go songs, I was able to, and my own songs that I would bring into the band. Cause I write songs that sound like the Go-Go's, and I write songs that sound like my other bands, and I write songs that I like to do and record. So I can kind of tell what the song needs to go towards. And it's really just about a musicality that I feel really grateful to be blessed with. And I was very lucky to be in a band where I could that brought out the musicality, and over the years got very confident in that. Sometimes you don't have it at the beginning, but over the years I became very confident and know that I'm a really good musician, a really good songwriter, producer, arranger. And it's a nice feeling when you get comfortable with what your talent is and what you bring to the table. Because I think, like we've talked about being immature at the beginning, I think I could have used some of that then. I think I was more insecure than I would have.
And you had a song from the Textones that you brought over to the Go-Go's, right?
A couple, yeah. Can't Stop the World, We Don't Get Along, Vacation.
Okay.
We were so rushed into going into our next record after Beauty and the Beat. There was a solid body, but Can't Stop the World got on the first album. And then we rushed ourselves. It wasn't anybody's fault but our own. We rushed ourselves into our next record, and we started scrambling for tunes. And, and we started contributing. Jane wrote with Gina. I wrote with Gina. When Charlotte was struggling on talk show, everybody stepped up, and yet she was still contributing Head Over Heels and Turn to You and Great. So I think we all tried to pull our weight and kind of do what we could to keep the band afloat.
Yeah. Gina, I have to ask, I'm a fan since the beginning. Since you guys came onto the scene, but one thing I missed the boat on, because I think I came in from the MTV era, seeing the videos and hearing the songs on the radio. I totally missed the boat on the whole punk rock scene thing. So I wanted to ask this: back in the late 70s with the punk rock, Was that genre accepted by everyone else, or was it like a cliquey little thing that you had and it was your thing, that you had the freedom to do whatever you want, the escapism? Did everybody look at you, that genre, as like the redheaded stepchild, or was it accepted in LA?
Oh, I mean, I feel like it was, yeah, LA was a place to go. It was like LA. I mean, when I left Baltimore, my choices were New York, LA, or San Francisco, because that's where I thought that the music scene was really happening. And I went to all three of those places, and then I settled in LA because the cost of living, I knew I could make ends meet there and still go after, you know, wanting to be a rock star. Everybody stuck together back then. The punk scene was very inclusive, you know.
Right.
Also really small too, Gina. It was like 50 kids, 50 kids.
But, and everybody would go to everybody else's shows, and you know, I mean, when I came from Baltimore, I came from more of a background, more like Caffey. I liked all different genres, but I liked heavier music, you know, but I love punk music. I love all kind of music, all kind of genres. So when I got into LA and I saw the Go-Go's play, and the punk scene was what I gravitated towards. It spoke to me. And, you know, but the thing about the Go-Go's is that we're still a punk band at heart, but we have these like great pop songs, you know?
Right.
That's what's so cool about this band. One of the great things about this.
I like the part in the documentary where, you know, it was at that point where the band has to evolve, and, you know, everybody was on board. And then I like when you were talking about Margot, it was like, either shit or get off the pot, man. You know, I like that no nonsense approach to that. But, you know, was that a big leap for you, where you're like, hey, if this is going to elevate our career, we're going to do this? Because sometimes, you know, people, they want to stay true to the you know, the genre that they started with.
My thing is, I'm true to the Go-Go's. Wherever that's going is where I want to go. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Also, it was
it's
clearly
been really good to me, and I'm super appreciative every day of my life. But, you know, back then the issue with Margot was that she didn't like the way the band was heading. That was her choice, and there were other things going on.
Right,
well.
yeah.
And she, you know, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Made her choice. She made her choice. You know, you get your shit together, or you.
Right.
well, what add to that is that it became very evident very quickly that once Caffey was in the band, it was, you know, from the musicianship to the songwriting to just the fun to the, you know, the hanging, the vibe and the chemistry. Very quickly, we knew we made the right, that was a hard decision to do, because we didn't want, you know, hurt Margot's feelings, but we knew we had to move forward, and Caffey was the absolute right person. And
she was, you know, a tried and true musician, and she brought. And what I loved about it is that she, you know, was a guitar player, and the way that she approached playing bass, it was so melodic. You know,
right.
You know,
I hear you. I feel it. I mean,
final piece of the puzzle. When Caffey was intact, there was no stopping us then.
Yeah, that's how I always said.
You know, Charlotte, one of the things I found the most interesting is that a lot of people that listen to the music, like, for example, Our Lips Are Sealed, you hear it on the radio, but people don't realize that it's a lot deeper song than it really is if you listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics. And I remember you saying, you and Jane had said this, that, you know, you by design, that you girls created the song it's happy, but it's also a little sad. So I wanted you to just maybe talk about that a little bit.
I think that it kind of started a thing, how our songs were developing, because Jane really came up with these incredible lyrics, and I had a pop sense, you know, with my melodies and all this stuff, and so it kind of started growing, and that's it. It turned into our sound and our, you know, what we do, and everyone, you know, and then Gina came, and then Caffey came, and it all came together, and the pieces of the puzzle were there, like Gina said. But there was a thing, you know, like I'd have some music sitting around, and Jane would send me some lyrics, and would just like fit together. It happened so many times. It was just weird. But it's, you know, I have great writing relationships with everyone in the band. I've written with everyone in the band. So it's a really cool, creative unit we are, should we say.
Right. Now we talked about this before. Now you girls have a lot of dates scheduled. Are they all canceled? Because I know you guys are coming to New Jersey to Asbury Park, and I'm hoping that show doesn't get canceled.
Well, we're right now being, you know, we have to we're looking at what's going on with the virus and everything. I mean, we have to make big decisions, you know.
Yeah.
I can't say anything because I don't know.
Well,
Right.
things are kind of on hold, and I mean, you know, I hope and pray that, you know, we can be out there next year doing what we love to do and giving the fans what they want, you know. So we're all just sort of fingers crossed. Let's try to move forward, you know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right. Jessica?
Yeah, you know what, Gina, it's actually really interesting. You mentioned before how you have a heavier like background, right, with heavy music, but you would go wherever the Go-Go's went. So if they went pop, you would go pop as well. But for you, you actually had co-writing credits as well for Miley Cyrus for her album Breakout, and you've written for Selena Gomez, which kind of like blows my mind that you really kind of moved into that pop realm. So how did the punk or new wave influence, how is that affecting your pop writing style? And are you bringing some of that pop into the Go-Go's?
You know, a good song is a good song, okay? No matter what genre it is. You can tell. You guys start out with, you know, great melody. I love pop melodies. I am very partial to pop melodies, I got to say. And, you know, and of course, beats are very important. And also, I never write anything by myself. I always co-write, you know. And that's an important part of the equation here, you know, putting together the right people to achieve what it is you're trying to achieve. And, you know, for both of those artists, the two fellows that I was writing with, we would do our homework and we try to, like, I would write the lyrics. And for that, we each had our assignment, you know. And so I would just do my reading up on Miley Cyrus and, you know, where she was like 16 or something. And the same thing with Selena, you know, to try and get into their headspace. And like, what do you think they want to say right now? This is sort of where they were still, you know, they were still at Disney. So it had to be kind of clean and it had to be just teenage girl stuff. So you just try to put yourself in, you know, in that headspace and write for that. And then of course, musically, you listen to what, you know, what their music sort of sounds like. And then you try to take it a step further, you know, push them a little further musically, and lyrically. Think of lyrics that are smart, that make sense.
Right.
So, I mean, that's how that kind of worked out. It's according to who you work with, you know, and if you're writing for a specific artist or if you're just writing, you know.
I mean, I definitely heard with like Falling Down, Kiss and Tell, there were some of Selena songs and I was like, oh, I could totally hear the Go-Go's doing this. You know, I could definitely hear your influence in that music. And it was nice to hear that influence in modern pop.
Well, that's where, you know, that's where both of those artists were at that time. And, you know, they both they were just sort of moving into being, you know, really taken more seriously as singers, you know? And look at them now. Both of them, I mean, are phenomenal, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just waiting to happen. It was like every record was one more step higher and higher, you know? I mean,
yeah.
I'm so
Caffey,
they're fantastic.
Yeah. Caffey, Club Zero, the new single, I love it. It's fantastic. It's a fun song, but it's a semi-political, which is not something that you guys would normally do. But it turned out phenomenal. If you could talk a little bit about that, and this pandemic has got everybody shaken, and I just want to say that listening to your music, because I go from the beginning, it's like somebody who was able to watch the Honeymooners for the first time. You know, you get to appreciate that. And what I love about when there were concerts is that, like, a band like the Go-Go's and Foreigner and Def Leppard, I go to those concerts and I'm like, I seen them when they were from the beginning, but I noticed that there's 5 and 6 generations in the audience, and they weren't even alive when this music came out, and they know the music as well as we do, and we were the core audience, you know. And during this pandemic, this news cycle is so horrible. I refuse to watch it. I was actually watching a clip of the Howard Stern show with Belinda and Jane, and Howard was trying to pay her $50 to tickle her feet, and Jane's like, "Oh no, $50 per foot." But it was just the uplifting stuff that I'm watching, that, you know, and listening to your music. And I loved the you did We Got the Beat on the Today Show, just to do that remotely and write. So how tough is it to do this remotely now, writing and collaborating?
It's very difficult. I'm amazed that we got this song done. We're very used to sitting and together. The ideas are flying. You know, somebody says something, you know, what do you think of this? And you go, oh no, I don't like that. And what about this? And it's just very quick and back and forth. And it's a very different dynamic than when you send an email with an idea and then somebody types back, no, I don't like that.
It was a little rough.
It's not encouraging. It's not very encouraging, right?
Really hard. I don't think we could ever do an album that way. It's a miracle we got it done, but I think we really captured something about the Go-Go's and the Go-Go's that we are today. You know, we are wiser and older, and did want to make a statement, but we wanted it to be like an anthem and have some attitude about women and what women's roles, and as you know, in the world today is, you know, women are everywhere, and we're not second-class citizens, and we are capable, and we are smart, and we are leaders, and we kind of wanted to reflect that in our song. But the main thing is, you know, the Go-Go's are a lot about joy, and that's one of the things we are really grateful that we are able to bring joy to people and to audiences.
It's a great
Jerry?
feeling. It's a great feeling. I just want to add to that, to look out there and see everybody smiling, everybody dancing, singing every word. They know all the words. I mean, like, it's you know, I get like kind of emotional thinking and talking about this. It's a beautiful feeling. I feel so privileged and grateful to be able to experience that, you know, from my spot, sitting back there watching everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I also think that when people walk out of our show, they are uplifted, which they bring that energy to the rest of the world, their families, their communities, and God knows we need that kind of energy right now. So it's a good thing, and we'll get there, I hope.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to, and I'm going to put this up here now, for everybody that's listening, the Go-Go's have been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and yes, and not a way overdue. And I have issues with this. Me and Eddie Trunk have been sounding off for years about this nonsense, and you know, I want to hear from all three of you ladies. It's always nice to get recognized and for your work and stuff, but at this point, with all the nonsense of these nominations and stuff, and who shouldn't be in, and I believe me, I get so mad when I hear that the Go-Go's are not in and Judas Priest is not in, but I'm not going to mention it. All artists are great and they're all talented, but you know, everybody is so defined today. Make a music hall of fame, make a country music hall of fame. That way everybody can go where they're supposed to go, you know, and it just annoys me. But is it, do you want the accolade? You girls got nothing to prove to nobody. You broke down barriers for women, musicians, male, females, everybody around the world. You were like the Marines. You were the first ones in, and you kicked ass and and you set the bar for everybody to follow. But is it about accolades at this point, or you don't even care?
It's nice. It's like, hey, yeah, man, I'll take it. I mean, we've worked a long time, and you know, on the subject of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think we got to the point where, oh, hell with it. We don't even care anymore, because every year we were thinking, yeah, you're going to be nominated. Everybody kept saying, you're going to be nominated this year. And I was like, shit, no, we're not. So when it actually happened this year, and now that we're into it, I am like really excited. I can't believe it. That yet it's wonderful things keep happening to this band all these years later. It's like, wow, I
Well, rightly so. Rightly, you deserve it. I mean, you've deserved it a long time ago. Charlotte, how do you feel about this? Because you're the songwriter, so I mean, it probably is a little more near and dear for you.
No, I mean, I'm thrilled for all of us. We're just like, like Gina said, we kind of just got used to it. Like, okay, well, I guess they're just going to overlook us again. And then this year, it's we got the news that we got nominated, and I'm thrilled, and we're so grateful to all the fans that have been voting every day for us. That goes through April 30th it's on the screen there. The vote.rockhall.com.
Yeah.
And, it's really cool because we were kind of down. We're in the top 5 now, and it's very, very cool. And we're near Tina Turner, which I love Tina Turner so much. She's so amazing.
Absolutely, Caffey.
To me, I have learned over the years to not rely on that outer validation. I feel like the band has been overlooked and dismissed for a very long time, and I have not liked it one bit. But on the other hand, I've had countless people come up to me and tell me what a difference we made in their lives. And that's so much more important when somebody says, your music helped me when I felt hopeless in middle school, or your music showed me that I could leave my home, and we represented so much possibility. You hear these stories, all of us have heard them over and over, and that's a pretty big consolation for being dismissed by an industry that really, whatever they say, couldn't take the facts away. The facts were that we were the first all-female band who played and wrote all of our songs, performed everything, and had that #1. It has not been duplicated or replicated, and that is a fact. So no one can take it away. It is nice to be, it'll look great on my resume. Let's just put it like that.
Right. No, I understand.
As of now, it is kind of the penultimate honor that a band can get that has made their career. So it's wonderful to have. We better get in.
Yeah, we better get in.
Yeah, it'll be a little weird if we don't. But
I've been pushing it, and I'm gonna keep pushing this till every day I'm voting, and I'm pushing it out there. Jerry.
Yeah, one of the favorite parts of that documentary that we keep going back to was, there's so much information in there and so many things you learn. But for me, I think the absolute favorite part is the end. And when you look at this band. One of the amount of work you had to do, right? I mean, on a level that most people just really will never comprehend. The amount of work, the struggle, the sacrifice, the adversity, and overcoming all of that. At the very end, you guys are all just sitting around and you're at peace, and you can just really see it. I mean, you can see it in your faces. Jane looks great. She just looks great. She's sitting there, and Jane's story. And she's just happy, and then I look at Charlotte, who, this tough addiction she had and has overcome it and just looked, frankly, just fantastic, and then, Gina never changes. She looks the same, tough, looked awesome, at the end. And Caffey, just the calm, it's hard to describe, but I think the band looked the best it's ever looked. And you go, wow, that's a story in itself, that you can do all of that and sacrifice all that. And then you sit in this calm environment, and then you guys are practicing and tuning up Club Zero. And I will tell you, for me, and this is a very difficult thing to say, and I hope I don't make anybody mad, when you have songs like We Got the Beat, Our Lips Are Sealed, Head Over Heels, Vacation, which are monster songs, I got to tell you, for me, I think Club Zero is one of the best songs you guys have ever done. You sound amazing. I mean, I don't know if you know how good you sound. You sound amazing, and I've watched this thing from a bunch of different venues, and there's one out there that's a virtual version that I would tell everybody. You should Google this up and watch it. And they're singing Club Zero, but it's virtually, and they keep going to each of the individuals. And what it really does is, it allows you to really hear, like Gina on the drums. You really hear just the drums because they focus on her. And then, you'll hear Caffey on the bass. And then, of course, Charlotte just shreds a guitar. I mean, she's amazing, and you see it and you hear those chords that you don't hear, you know, when it's all put together like that. And
it was almost like you were at a concert. It was so surreal. Like when they
oh
did,
yeah,
we got the beat on the Today Show. I enjoyed that so much, even though it was virtual, but at least we got a taste of, hey, the music's not gone. We're still here, you know, and I love that. You know, I love that.
Go watch the Club Zero version, because that one's the best.
Yeah, I saw that
there.
too.
It's fantastic. But my congratulations just to this band, because,
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of people who end up a lot of different ways when they do the many things that you have done. And what I saw was at the end was just a very happy, satisfied, you know, and successful group of women who they didn't break the glass ceiling. They freaking crushed it. You know, they destroyed it. As a military guy, that's like a nuclear bomb went off on that glass ceiling when it was the Go-Go's. And
well, we still have our sense of humor. We're still a bunch of goofs. We're still all goofy and have a great time when we're together. And there's this crazy energy. Like, I get excited just talking to Charlotte and Caffey. You know what I mean? Like, there's energy that happens when I'm around the girls. It doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because
that's a special bond that you all share.
And it's like a real thing. And when we get together and we're on that stage, it is really electric. It's like we are ready to explode, you know? It's like, it's so exciting for us still, you know?
Yeah.
It's a special.
I have to reiterate what Jerry said about Club Zero. It's got that signature go-go sound, but you know, now it's got a little modern day twist, and you're going to think I'm strange. I love everything you gals have done, but I love Fun with Ropes.
Oh, genius song. Genius.
Yeah, you know, and you know, that was just one of my.
Blast to play live. That is so much fun to play. I love that song.
I've never played a song that had more chords in it. It's like, it's a crazy song. It's the best. But you guys, I have to kind of leave, like, unfortunately, but I need to say something.
Sure.
I'm going to say the real rock stars in our lives are the people in the armed forces who, you know, have protected us and served this country. And we are so grateful as a band, as individuals. We are so grateful to everybody that to all you guys. It's like, I'm getting emotional talking about it because it's so important. And the work you guys do is like, you know, you're the rock stars.
Well, Charlotte, let me tell you one thing. One, thank you for that incredibly kind comment. But I will tell you, you guys do a great service for us too. You know, I have literally been sitting in camps, you know, like, you know, Jessica and everybody around the world in some dark places. And, you know, you got mortars coming in and rockets and all these things. And no joke, I'll have the headphones on jamming to the Go-Go's because it takes you away. It takes you out of that moment, you know, that you're sitting in a dusty town in Afghanistan or somewhere, and it brings you home. And so the art that you guys produce, we owe you a thanks, because it really helps men and women all over the world survive really tough situations when, you know, they can forget about what they might have saw that day and just have a moment of jamming out with you ladies. So thank you. We owe you as well.
This matters more than anything right here.
Right.
Much more than rock hall. Thank you for sharing that. And
Wow.
Such an
Charlotte,
honor. Anything.
Absolutely. Charlotte, before you go, would you do a quick liner for the network?
Sure.
Just, you're going to introduce yourself and say, hey, this is Charlotte Caffey, and you're listening to Animal House Radio.
Just right now?
Yes.
Hi, this is Charlotte Caffey from the Go-Go's, and you're listening to Animal House Radio.
And thank you again for your musical genius, and I look forward to hopefully meeting you and seeing you guys on the road.
Oh, hopefully too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Nice to meet you, Charlotte. Good luck.
Gina, I want Jessica to ask one question, and then I'm going to let you. I'm going to wrap up here. Jessica, give them one last question, and then I'm going to ask a question, and we'll let them go because we've held them hostage long enough today.
Yeah, again, this was an absolute pleasure. You women are amazing, and thank you for being, you know, an idol for, you know, the rest of us that are musicians and songwriters, and, you know, just that kind of beautiful creativeness to keep going. So my question for you guys is, and your answers might be different, but Go-Go's music, what is your favorite song to play, and why?
Oh, wow. I have several. It's really funny. Just bringing up "Fun with Ropes." I absolutely love playing that song.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so bombastic and crazy and fast, and you get swept away with the whole thing. I love playing that song for sure, and many others. I gotta say,
Oh, sure.
It's like asking somebody what their favorite Beatles song is. That you can't really do it, right?
But this is their own music, though.
I mean, I wouldn't compare us to the Beatles, but it. Like I said, it's like every song has its place with me. There's something about it that I absolutely love. And when we get on stage together and we play it, man,
Electric.
That's when the magic really happens.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
What about you, Caffey?
I have to say that I am surprised at how much I enjoy playing all of the songs. We always pace the set list in a very specific way, and it always works really well. It's such a pleasure to be a rhythm section. I'm a guitarist too, and so took me a while to understand what my role was in the Go-Go's, which is to make everybody sound as good as I could and make that song sound as good as I could. And to be that backbone along with Gina has been just such a wonderful thing. And I think together for us, I think our drums and bass are awesome on Skid Marks on My Heart.
Oh, God, yeah, that's a good one.
It's a really fun one because it's very subtle. You almost have to be a musician. Jessica, you probably pick up on it, but you can hear hooks in what we're doing that your average listener might just hear the whole song. But right. I think a lot of musicians, they hear the hooks that the rhythm section is doing. So I think that's what
you guys always had the most interesting chord progressions on a lot of the songs. Final question for you two ladies today. The documentary is critically acclaimed. I loved it. Whether it's a male, female, musician or not, somebody that's been with you girls since the beginning or just learning about your music now, what's the one thing that you hope they take away from watching this documentary?
I hope that people realize that anything is possible. I know Caffey would say this, like, I came from somewhere else. I had a dream. I went to LA. I worked hard and I was very focused on it. I wouldn't let anything mess with that. And it happened. And it can happen. It seems an impossible thing, but it happens, and, there's room for everything. There's room for everyone. Music is so big and it's important. It touches everyone.
Yes.
So it's inclusive, I don't know. Kath?
No, hey, that's a beautiful answer, Gina. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think it's going to inspire a lot of people, even though it does, shine a light on the dark days, but you guys are past that now. And you
get through that. That's the important, like I'm saying, it's like, this is like watching it as another lesson, which, and you know what? You just reminded me of something that I wanted to say at the end about Jerry. You said about, when we're all together and calm. I have to do this, but I'm putting a book out, okay, in October. So I'm going to join the ranks of Caffey. That is going to be over 40 years of photographs that I have taken of the Go-Go's.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be a Go-Go's photo coffee table.
That will be awesome.
Do we have a name for it yet? Or
you're going to see,
do you have a name for it yet?
Oh, it's called Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.
Okay.
And it's going to be all, all these photos. Some you have seen, some you have never seen, that I just was taking Polaroids and,
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Lots of different photographs. It's going to be really, I'm so happy that we're going to have yet something like that to leave behind as part of our legacy,
Absolutely.
Show the band like in a way you haven't seen them before.
Well, you definitely let me know, and we'll definitely have you back again because I want to. In the part 2, Gina, I know we don't have much time today. I want to talk about Disgraceland. I got to know about that. So we'll save that for another time. Caffey, what do you hope that everyone who sees the documentary, like whether they're music or not, male, female?
Well, I have no control or say about what people take away from it. But I will tell you the documentary has done something wonderful for this band, and it brought us to a lot of healing and forgiveness of each other that I don't think we realized we still need. We still had work to do. And seeing our story up on that screen, and there's a lot that didn't make it in it. You know, it couldn't be a 4-hour film. There's a lot that's not in there. There's a lot of bad stuff. There's a lot of great stuff that isn't
I
in
would
it.
have watched the 4-hour film because, you know, I would have wanted to take that journey.
But after we saw that and seeing it all condensed, you know, we just went up. We saw it all together at Sundance. We went up to the front of the theater and we just fell into each other's arms. And it was one of the most, it was felt like we'd come full circle because we have had a lot of obstacles and betrayals and falling outs, a lot of stuff. And yet we have a bond that is beyond that. And I don't know if people will get that from the documentary, but that's what we got from it. And I think what I hope that people get is that this is a band. This is the way rock and roll is. You come out of the streets, out of the club scene. You make it on your own. You do it no matter what. And I think it's the way it's supposed to be. And that's what I want people to realize. This band was you know, we did it the right way. We did it the way it's meant to happen. We are an American success story in that we did succeed.
Well, no question. And I cannot thank you enough for what you did, for what you've doing and what you've did over the years, and for the musical entertainment, like Jerry says, like, you know, when the bottom could drop out at any minute and you can go home for a half hour by watching TV or listening to you guys. And continued success, stay healthy, and I hope to see you guys on the road. Gina, before we let you go, definitely contact us. I want to get you on to talk about the book, but would you do me the honor of doing a station ID for the network?
Sure.
Basically, you introduce yourself and just say you're listening to Animal House Radio.
Yeah. Hi, you guys. It's Gina Schock from the Go-Go's, and you're listening to Animal House Radio Live.
That's beautiful. And Caffey, if you would please do the same.
Yeah, and I wanted to add one more thing.
Sure.
If I don't know how we would go about it, how you would choose, but I would love to send 3 signed copies of my book to any of your listeners. I don't know how you would pick them out, but if you would let me know, you know, maybe the first 3 that call in or write in, I would love to.
Okay. I know. I would like to. I know. I have the book here. Hopefully I might send it to Todd for you to sign. But I know Jerry would like a copy because he's a huge fan, and I'd be willing to pay for that.
Well, no, don't pay for anything. It would be my honor and privilege to send it. It's got a lot of good go-go stuff, a lot of, you know, humanity and personal stuff. So I just wanted to make that offer because it would just make me happy to give that. And as far as my ID, you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, this is Caffey Valentine from the Go-Go's, and you're listening to Animal House Radio.
That's beautiful. Just to remind everybody that the documentary, if you don't have Showtime, which I don't understand why people don't have cable these days, but I know all these new apps, but the documentary is now available on CD and DVD, and go to the Go-Go store, store.gogos.com, pick up some merchandise, support these girls, or me and Gina are going to come to your house and we're going to give you a beating. But
East Coast style.
There you go. But I just want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It was you know, you don't get a chance to meet living legends, and you ladies are certainly of that. And you have an open door anytime you guys want to come on.
You have made my day, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Caffey.
Be safe.
Great to meet you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good luck with your band, Jessica. Have fun with that.
Have fun.
Yeah, we do.
Bye, you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay. So I want to thank you two for being my wing woman. And Jessica, so what'd you think?
Oh, that was amazing.
See, I told you how I keep order. It was pretty good. Jerry, tell her how I make it flow when there's multiple guests.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun. And my only thing I was hoping I would hear out of that, I was hoping they'd go, so Jessica, send us one of your songs, or hey, you know, Jessica, would you like to open for the Go-Go's? You know, it would have been awesome.
And the answer would be, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of Jessica? What you said you have like a unique style. Your band.
Yeah, so my band is Honey Spot Boulevard, BLVD, because we can't spell Boulevard. That's a sad truth. Spelling's not our strong suit. But the genre that we made up is genuine swamp funk. So we're kind of all over the place. I play guitar, flute, times drums, and we switch instruments, and we have 3 singers, and we've been together since 2003, 2004. Same group of guys, and I love them to death, man. Like I love them. I love these guys. So I'm like so happy that I can still play with them.
And listen, if you want to come on with the whole band one day, we'll do a whole feature around you. I'd be honored to do so.
Are you sure? Because we're nutty.
No, Jerry, tell her she has no idea, Jerry.
They'd fit in.
I wrote the book you're reading. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would fit in.
And Jerry will tell you we've interviewed some amazing people, and I don't know about you, Jerry, but over the past year, I gotta say the most fun I've had is when Brad Garrett told the Peter Boyle story about his flatulence.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked Brad Garrett a lot. He was funny. And then you know who I liked was the Hoff, man. Hasselhoff.
Oh yeah.
He's a character. That dude's a
you
character.
gotta go on our page.
Oh, he's
Jessica.
a character, all right. I'm sorry. Every time I hear Hasselhoff, I think of that picture of him with the naked with the dogs. Like, why would he do that?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to interview him because of that. And then why is he so popular in Germany? What is going on?
Oh, they love
he
it.
became a singer. Yeah, he's like an international star. But if you go on the Animal House Radio page on Facebook, go into videos, you'll see all the people we've had over the years, and it's just been a lot of fun. And this is, having Jerry, and then it's the least I can do to show my appreciation for all you guys have done. And if I can make people feel better for 5 minutes by providing good content, then I've done my job.
And thank you so much for having me on. Like, I really appreciate you, inviting me on to do this.
You have an open door anytime you guys want.
Thank you,
Carlo. Thank you, man. This is probably my favorite one. I love the logos. I wish Belinda had been here, and I wish Jane had been here because there's so much to talk about with all of them.
Yes.
And we couldn't even barely get through. I mean, an hour went by so fast with just 3 of them.
Yeah.
I have 20 more questions I would have asked if we had time.
Jane lives in Hawaii and Belinda's in Bangkok. We had a nice interview with Belinda. I'm going to see if I could set something up with Jane. And we'll get that done. And then
I'd love that. She's awesome. She's had real struggles with suicide, ideations, and I think she was actually diagnosed bipolar, so she's really truly been up and down in her career, and she plows through it. And I don't know if you guys noticed on the documentary, she said, "This is the first time I've gone an entire year and I've never thought about suicide." I mean, they're in a good place right now.
I think that's why they immersed themselves into the punk scene, because it was like an escape. And what I love about Jane is that on Monday you could see her on a talk show. She'll have blue hair, and by Thursday it's red. And when I come back in another life, I want to get a job as her colorist, because I know I can make a lot of money.
That's
with everything. But
okay, guys, I got to run. Okay, and Jessica, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Band, okay, and
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys letting me join this time. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll see you all next time right here on Animal House Radio. Have a great night.